Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Eternity. So, last time we had a dream about an old dwarf woman who was on a hanging tree. And we should probably go and see what she's going on about, because she could help us with our small illness, which appears to have cleared up actually. But first of all, we're going to speak to the innkeep.
Good day, stranger.
We still have rooms open, never too early for a drink. Well, I think that we could use some work. So, do you know anyone who's looking? Oh, well, I can't speak from experience, but we have certain sorts coming in here looking for work from time to time. If you want to hire anyone on, be happy to... Oh, that wasn't... Oh, wrong. Okay. I think instead of... Basically, instead of me asking for work, I think that was actually me saying, is there anybody I can hire for my adventures? So, no, we don't want to do that. Can I see what you have for sale? Aloth opens his mouth, but seems to reconsider. Nothing for me, thanks. Of course, we're running a little short on goods these days. We ought to have some more soon. I think I'm gonna get some beer for Aloth, if we can. Oh, we have to move down into trade? Ah, there we go. Can we trade from our stash? We can totally trade from our stash. Perfect. Now, I believe that everybody will just buy things if you give them. That you don't have to try and find the right people or find the people who have a certain amount of money. You can just sell everything to everyone. So we don't need any of this clothing. Get rid of it. Get rid of the helmet. We'll keep the beer. Get rid of our wolf hides, definitely. Get rid of one of our torches. And we'll keep our other material. We may be able to craft a bit in the future. I don't know if you can, but, you know, we'll keep it. That's fine. And we will trade. Yeah. We don't have a lot of camping supplies, but we'll keep what we have for just now. And there. I do want to see what happens. Can we get Aloth to drink the beer? And then
ready when you are.
How may I
talk
help?
to Aloth? Okay, so he doesn't have anything new to say because he's drinking with beer, but tell me about a deer. I've been gone for more than a year now, but I suspect I always think of the forests and fields of Adir as home. We spent thousands of years of history and tradition behind us, and there's a sense of dignity and responsibility that comes with that. Of course, there's baggage as well. Our imperial past is still fresh in the minds of many, as you may have noticed here. Has it been difficult to adjust to the Dyrwood? People here are informal, hot-blooded. His mouth twists into a wry smirk. More attentive to insult than to duty. But as long as one avoids provocation, it's easy enough to get along. He steeples his fingers. I've gotten accustomed enough to keeping my thoughts to myself anyway. How long were you in Gilded Vale? He shrugs, fidgeting with the hem of his sleeve. Not much longer than you. As you saw, it was hardly the haven that had been advertised. Any thoughts on what I should do next? Well, you're in charge here. As far as I'm concerned, any place is better than Gilded Vale. Oh, that's all. Is that it?
Aye?
Or... yeah, that's it. Okay. Oh, did he drink... Oh, I have the beer in his quick slot. So what does beer actually do for you? 1 damage reduction for 300 seconds. Oh, okay. It's not too bad, but we'll put it back in his inventory.
Ready when you are.
Alright, let's have a look around the rest of the inn, actually. See who else is here. So we have an Orland server. Hello. Oh, wait, I forgot. We still had one thing to ask Pasca. Hey, Pasca.
Welcome.
Yes. I'd like to know more about the Black Hound. Really? Well, let me see. The actual building's been here for years, but the Black Hound's fairly new. We got a lot of new faces in here, too. Fewer than we used to, I'll admit. I used to work the tables, actually, until the old owner up and left. Nobody's sure what happened to him. He even left his poor hound behind. See the name, the Black Hound? It's still sitting upstairs, pining after him. The poor old girl. Place ended up in my hands, somehow. My very own inn. A lot of hard work involved, but so far it's been worth it. Okay, so there's a hound upstairs. Let's at least go and have a look at that. Now we have these two people. Now, I believe the yellow names mean that they have some background that we could learn about. So we're going to do that. The question I haven't answered yet is, are we going to do that in the normal kind of videos, or are we going to do that as a separate video? I think we'll just do it in normal videos, unless they seem to take too long. I think there's a whole bunch kind of in the early game and not so much as you go on, so let's do it like that. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you, or reach out for the soul. You see a woman emptying her satchel onto the bed, taking stock of her inventory, potions, bandages, tinctures, and herbs are scattered throughout her room haphazardly. She bites her lip, head tilted to the side, considering. She begins to repack one item after another. After careful deliberation undercut by shaking hands, each item has a clearly marked place, but no matter how she repacks it, she isn't satisfied. The shaking worsens as she empties it out once more, one hand held to her mouth. Tears eke from her eyes as she gives up all semblance of order and shoves everything she can into the satchel, grabbing it and running out of the bare house. Straightening her back, she walks to the docks, chin high, head, eyes hard and red. A gangly young elf offers his condolences, but she can't see him for the ocean ahead of her. She wanders the docks, offering her services as a doctor to any who will listen. Anyone headed out on the high tide. Less than an hour later, she watches her childhood disappear into the distance, a tiny speck of an island, and tries not to jump. Okay. So this lady used to be on an islander, and then she had to leave. I guess that something happened on the island that forced her to leave. Maybe like a family member died or something, and then she left. Alright. Next one is Strom Brightblade. You see a group of young men standing around a makeshift practice target. This man stands in the middle of them, explaining the construction and use of a bow. He holds it up, pointing out each part as he speaks about it and what it does. He then walks away from the target, telling them to remain where they are. He takes his place about 200 feet away. He carefully lines up his shot, explaining what he is doing as he does, and lets the arrow fly. It hits the target dead center, much to the surprise and delight of the boys near it. He smiles, walking towards the boys, talking about proper stance and how to more effectively hold a bow. Noise comes from the tree line near their practice venue, and he stops, scanning the woods. Blue eyes squinting against the sun. A shadow moves, making its way through the forest behind them. He draws an arrow and lines up the shot, carefully tracking the movement of the hidden creature. Loosening the arrow, he wastes no time and grabs another. The boys spin, watching the arrow fly into the forest, immediately lost among the trees. There's a sudden explosive movement in the undergrowth as deer erupt from the tree line, running across the edge of the clearing. The boys laugh, turning to joke with the man about his lousy shot. They stop talking, seeing him holding the bow and leading the deer from a knocked arrow. It drops to the ground as loose as this last arrow, which flies true and strikes the deer right behind its shoulder, piercing its heart and lungs and dropping it dead almost immediately. The boys stare at the deer for a few seconds, then slowly turn to look at the man, newfound respect in their eyes. He smiles again and breathes a quiet sigh of relief. Alright. Oh, he has an interesting tale, but not much to tell about, not much to learn from it. Let's see what we got here. What story you told again with the tall fellow and the wee lass? You mean the Amuna captain and the Orlin cabin boy? Uh-huh. What? No, well, hold on. Tell us that one first. Oh, yeah, I want to hear this one. Let's hope he keeps going. Nah, it's not keeping going. Grab a drink, friend. Not much else of worth in this town, says the woman from Thien. Hey, we shouldn't mention Thien. Okay, okay. Whole bunch of people. Let's head in here first.
I'll see what I can find.
Let's just sneak a little bit and then see if we could just open this up. We have 4 mechanics, so we should just be able to lockpick this straight away.
This open in no
As
time.
promised.
We got a rapier, padded armor, which might actually be better than what we're wearing. So, I'll consider that. A funny hat, and the rapier itself can go into our stash. So, do we want to wear the incredibly silly hat? Dyrwoodians are known for the modest rustic hats, while Valilians are known for their broad, wide-rimmed hats featuring a variety of exotic plumes. So we could wear a funny hat if we wanted to. Definitely does not go. Does it go with Aleth? Not really. We'll find somebody to whom that hat will belong. And our light armor. So if we compare that to our current armor, so we lose 1 piercing for 1 crushing, for 5 crushing resistance. We lose 1 resistance overall. and when we get corroding. So this would help us against crushing. I think that would be worth it. Yeah. I think the extra crushing thing would be worth it, and it'll look nicer. So let's put that on. Yeah, that looks nice. I guess that's what the hat's meant to go with. Yeah, I see. It's a whole ensemble. Well, we'll wear the hat then.
Not a problem.
Now. Ensemble, by the way, in case you want to say it correctly. Crammed beneath the books is a drawing that shows Ethos and Lord Radric in a compromising position. Alright. A book. Alright, and lockpicks. A book. Well, we're going to read it. Wait. Oh, you're only allowed 5 in a stack? That explains it. No other land has such a wild and bloody recent history. From colony to Palatinate? I don't know, Platinate? To Free Republic, the Dyrwood has undergone a trial by fire to emerge as a powerful force of the Eastern Reach. Dyrwood's history actually began in Adair in 2602 A1? AI? AL? I don't know. Adair explorers returned from the journey across the ocean with tales of treasures they'd found. They discovered countless ruins scattered throughout the forest, as well as plains to the north of the trees that would be perfect for growing Vorlas. There was a problem, however. The locals were hostile and there was potential for conflict. The Furcoing of Adair... Oh, it tells you how to pronounce it. Furconing? First King? Knew that this was too good an opportunity to pass up and sent more explorers to scout and map the area. Exploration continued over the next 20 years. Small groups of explorers travelled back and forth between Adair and this new world with a handful of colonists setting up small camps and establishing a base for explorers to work out of. Conflicts with the locals, who the Adairs are learned are called the Glanfathans. Glanfathans? Yeah, were rare but frequent enough for the Furcoinian to send small squadrons of guards to help protect his citizens. These guards established a central base on the river in the western section of the woods. This settlement would eventually become the city of Dyrford, upon which the modern-day village of the same name is presently built. Once that base was established, the first permanent Adarian settlements began north and west of the Bale River. Over the next 3 years, thousands of Adarians made the trek from Adair to this new land. The Glenfathans, who seemed to revere the ruins scattered throughout the forest, caused a few problems for some of the settlements, especially those founded near the ruins themselves. These were easily taken care of by the colonists with the help of the Imperial Guard. The Adarians, in order to further their foothold in the area, reduced the cost of production, and in an attempt to keep the Glanfathan population under control, started making slaves out of any Glanfathans captured during the uprisings. This resulted in a great tension between the two groups. With the population of the area growing, an official government structure was established by the Furcoinian. He appointed several earls to preside over the land and assigned them thanes to help run their territory. They called the new Grefram the Dyrwood. Dyrford remained the centre for the Imperial Guard, but the settlement in Pearl Gulf, New Dunrid, was a true seat of power for the area. Sitting at the edge of the forest, ocean, and fertile farmland, and a river that runs from the coast to the White March, settlers flocked to the area, hoping to establish names for themselves. Adair began to spread across the new land. Okay, that's a wordy book. We're going to take it. And we're going to speed. Out of here. Well, might as well not sneak, but 3 people to talk to. Deslock, or to examine their backstory. Deslock Najetip? Not local, I would imagine. You see a man soar through the air, hitting a nearby wall with a nauseating crunch. He doesn't get up. His attacker, burly, clean-cut warrior with a carnivorous grin, turns and shoves his fist into the stomach of another assailant, removing another from the impromptu brawl. The bar is a whirlwind of elbows, knees, fists, and feet, with no end in sight, and he is in his element. In a corner, 3 smaller men speak quietly, throwing malicious glances at the larger man in the centre. He breaks a chair with a tattooed head, cackling. The trio position themselves in 3 parts of the room. With a terse nod, they charge. Unfortunately for them, the man sees them coming. Something in his eyes burns brightly, and all 3 slump to the ground in an agony that is all in their minds. The burly man bows to a room of unconscious and incapacitated before sauntering out, off-key whistle trailing behind him. Alright, so this guy might have some magic going on with him. Okay. How about next one? Shane shakes Mulrain. Okay. You see an emaciated boy in chains, black holes for eyes, staring sightlessly at a wall. You see a man in a dark coat walk in, a scroll and oddly shaped quill in his hand. The boy glances at him, expressionless, a corpse waiting for animation. The man clucks at him, disapproval clear in his tone. The boy stands, limbs hanging. The man takes a quill and begins to write on the boy's chest, copying sharp, angular symbols from the scroll. The child doesn't flinch as the quill digs into his skin, drawing blood as it goes. The wizard finishes with a flourish and barks some arcane command, setting the symbols to glow dully. The boy cries out, knees hitting the stone hard, his chest burning black and red. Finally, the glow disappears, leaving only a hard black scars etched into his skin. He slumps sideways, twitching, eyes facing the back of his skulls. His skull? Skull. The wizard grunts, kicking him on the leg on his way out. The boy lies on the floor until dawn, eyes still black like holes, the twitches growing into convulsive shakes. Oh dear, so that is how he got his name, huh? Ancilla Amen. You see a long, empty road cutting through two large crop fields. The air is silent and the land seems too still for early afternoon. This woman walks slowly on the road, leading a horse curiously around her. She seems to sense something is wrong, but is unable to discern what it is. She stops, sniffing at the air, her nose high. Her brow crinkles as she casts around, looking for something. The air is clear. No clouds. She sniffs again, still looking around, confusion clouding her face, mouthing a single word. Fire. She looks out across the fields, her confusion turning to fear. She holds her hand up to block the sun from her eyes and scans the fields again. Not finding what she was looking for, she jumps on the horse's back, the fear quickly becoming panic. She kicks in the horse, shooting down the path, which bends around some trees to where the farmhouse should be. She pulls up short, horror now in residence on her face as she stares at the burned and charred mess that used to be her family's home. Tears well in her eyes as she kicks again, racing to the rubble. Oh wow, some dark backstories here. Okay. Bones are marked in tiny bite marks. And there's a dog, the Black Hound. Hello. Aww. This hound stares intently at the covered window, head cocked as if waiting to hear a particular sound. It looks up when you approach and whines a low note, tail wagging slightly. Sorry girl, I don't think it's coming back. The dog whines softly again, head tilting. You can come with me. Maybe we'll find him on the way. The dog's ears perk up. It trots over to you and barks happily. We have a dog. Now, they can't. We can only have one pet. We can have the pig or the dog. We're gonna have the dog because I don't want to have the pig's nice, but it's just a pig. Dog's kind of cool. It's like also a spectral pig, so it's a little bit weird. Now we have a dog following us. Okay, so let's head down here. We got a couple of people around. We got a whole town to explore, but I think we want to go to the tree first. Let's head over to the tree. That's not where the tree is. Let's head over to the tree. I just read this in the corner. Then I told her, that's not the pistol. Ha. Alright. That must be the... Oh, I guess this is the dwarf woman. Caladra de Burizani. The squat, a descented body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked burra that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it. You feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you find yourself spreading out towards the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is some jolt to your mind, a ringing electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in space occupied by only you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she is staring at you with the eyes clouded in milky fog, her body still swaying in the wind. You no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy even. To not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I. Wherever here may be.
Well, I need to understand something that happened to me, and it may be this event right now. She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair, and here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times.
Okay.
Souls pass on, some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
What do you mean when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprouts from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Merwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
Well, I need to meet him. I need to know what he knows. I think I survived a Baewick, though. Do you know where that might be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me now.
You said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Remergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
She clicks her tongue. Wants to know something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Well, who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between the rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing her blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
No, but please tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins, miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Dyrwood that does not control the research, no? I loved the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
Let's see if there are any more questions.
Of course, dear.
Well, there is nothing else I want to ask you. Farewell.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Caldara closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over the noose. Your surroundings seem to blend into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. We were granted Crucible of the Soul. Got a lot of experience as well. Aloth looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you alright? You seemed lost just now. I'm a watcher, apparently. You know anything about this, Aloth? His arched eyebrows recede into his hood. Well, that is interesting. He gives you a sly grin. And I suspect this has something to do with the hooded figure in the ruins, In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're travelling together, it'll probably be wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about Watchers? Oh, only that they're rare, and they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions. Just as you demonstrated. I think, here's my theory. I have no clue if this is right or wrong. I think that he has a soul condition and has had an animancer look into it, and that's why he keeps saying the random stuff. But anyway, let's continue on. We're leveled up. Cool.
17 and a half.
Alright. That's why I wanted to walk out here. As I seem to remember, it said 17 and a half. The smell of pipe smoke, once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes tense to trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with a straw-collared hat, leaning against a mossy rock wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks you directly in the eye. The look is not aggressive. He regards you with a particular smirk.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
What are you talking about?
People hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Is that what people do around here for fun?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What was that about a dwarf?
A dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
What makes you think I was interested in a dwarf woman? He looks at you a moment, his brow arched, his smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
Ah, you don't like the local rulers. You know what a watcher is?
Careful, friend. Let's not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
You think you're going to be hanged?
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
The War of the Aedirs? Saints' War. Only one in my lifetime. Fella decides he's the living incarnation of Ethos. Overthrows Redrisus. Marches on the Dyrwood. So we give him a Dyrwoodian hello. What's a Dyrwoodian hello?
Blew him up.
He smiles at this, but it's the smile of one recounting a joke for the effect rather than the enjoyment. Who is Ethos? The god of rebirth and redemption. Formally, anyhow. Maybe they call him something different where you're from. I got time. Why was your head man hanged? Got involved. Redric sent men down here the other day. Said it had it on good authority that someone in the town's working with Klosk, plotting Redric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my headsman, steps forward and says it's him. They took him at his word. So you're working with Klosk, I would assume. He sighs and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on the tree, bound to have him sooner or later, if not for plotting against Redric, then for protecting me. What does your town have against you? Let's start. Who's Klosk? Someone who got tired of all the hangs. He's on the run now. Probably be till they catch him. What's your town have against you?
The wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Dyrwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Raedric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
Aloth glances at you and lowers his voice. You can see why I was eager to leave. If you're the next to be hanged, what are you doing here? Drinking, mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. I just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a lot of places out there that don't think Waidwin's legacy started with Waidwin. Wait a second. That was weird. It kind of ended and then, like, there was nothing else to say, and I talked to him again. There's more to say. Cool. I get the weirdest feeling you're just waiting around for them to hang me so you can have one of your Watcher talks with me. And that's just not right. You said you fought in a war. Saints, yeah, okay, we already asked him that. We could travel together. Where are you headed? Someplace named Cad Nua? There's an old Watcher there who might be able to help me.
I remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say Watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before.
Yeah, it's odd.
Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger. And a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
That's a fine reason if I've ever heard one.
Alright then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
He tilts his head forward and gives you a pointed look. Well, let's get going. We have a new party member, and I'm going to end the episode here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.